They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
All right. First, before we do anything, what I want to do is I want to give a shout out for Notification Gang, for Premiere Gang, whatever we are going to call this. The people who come out at the very, very beginning of the upload when we're premiering the video, when I'm just hanging out in the chat room and we could just talk. We can go through, talk fantasy basketball. I don't really care what we talk about during those premieres, but I've had so much fun just talking to y'all as we watch the video together and really having a better way of connecting rather than just answering your YouTube comments during a random time of the day. And I can really not go back and forth with you just because it's almost impossible. I mean, I'll see the comment like 7 hours later, then possibly you'll see my reply the next day. And of course, I'm not going to be able to go and find that again. But during those premieres, it's fun. It's a live chat. I can go through, we can talk, we can really do everything through that premiere. So we are going to continue to try to do that as much as we can. I'm going to continue to try to premiere the videos around 9 a.m. Eastern time. Now, I will say that's not going to be an exact time every morning, but if you have that bell hit next to the subscribe button, you should be good to go and you should get that notification. Well, anyway, let's get into this video and let's just talk about some crazy things that have been happening in the NBA as of late. I mean, there are a ton of players that are producing way more than what we were expecting. There were a couple of guys that we go, you know what, probably we should look to sell high here. But before we get to any of those producers, let's talk about the elephant in the room. We had a report come out today that it looks like Kristaps Porzingis may be on the trade block for the Dallas Mavericks. And yes, Mark Cuban came out and he said, you know what, that's not true. I'm going to dismiss any of those rumors. Please do not pay any attention to that. And of course, that's what Mark Cuban is going to say. He's not going to want to blow the situation up, regardless of if Porzingis is on the trade block or not. And if we go through, Porzingis is a player that I've been kind of wanting to stay away from in fantasy basketball. I've talked about this so many times where, yes, I mean, he'll go through a stretch where he'll possibly be knocking down 3 or 4 threes a game for about a week or two. But the problem is, if you just watch this Dallas Mavericks offense, really nothing is natural. I mean, even those threes that Porzingis is shooting, it's more so just, hey, let's make sure Porzingis gets his. Let's not find anything in transition. Let's not find the open shooter. Let's just make sure he is making at least 2 threes a game and at least putting up 5 a game. And they're unnatural. They're clunky, not to mention that we know Porzingis is a very subpar defender after his injury and after he's really not been able to come back at full strength with his athleticism. So I'll say Porzingis, yes. I mean, a long time ago, it looked like he could be one of the NBA's next stars. But at this point, you look at him, you look at that bloated contract, you go, he's not an elite defender. He is, yes, stretching the floor in a way, but not necessarily doing so at an elite level. And he is getting paid a ridiculous amount, combined with the fact that he has so many different injury concerns. So with Porzingis, I don't think it's likely that he is traded to Golden State, just because if you look at the contract, it would make it nearly impossible unless Golden State's going to send back someone like Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, and I don't really see any of those lining up. So I'll say I think Porzingis is not going to be a Golden State Warrior before the deadline, but there's a chance that Porzingis is possibly playing somewhere else, and that's just something that we need to keep our eye on. All right, so now our next thing is something that I just have to talk about. I mean, I've been getting DMs day in and day out from some trolls hitting me up, going, Mason, what'd you think about Russell Westbrook? Mason, take this Russell Westbrook L. And I'll say, yeah, Westbrook has been on fire as of late, to be completely honest. I mean, we look at this, over his last 5 games, I mean, he's averaged 20 points, but more importantly, 12 rebounds and 12 assists. Now, I will say with Westbrook, our main criticism of him is the fact that he can't shoot. I mean, his efficiency from both the free throw line and the field is hilariously bad, combined with the fact that he has pretty much no range from beyond the arc. But it really doesn't matter. Over these past 5 games, I mean, the efficiency has been great anyway. I will say, though, if we look through a season-long lens with Russell Westbrook, I mean, he is still 42% from the field. He is still 61% from the free throw line. We know that he is dealing with those injuries where we are not going to expect Russell Westbrook to play back-to-backs. We are not going to be expecting him to be a player that you can count in for every single game. So I will say, for category leagues specifically, if for whatever reason you have Russell Westbrook, you need to be selling high. I mean, we know that 61% from the free throw line can literally just lose you the category straight out if it's from a high volume shooter. And same thing from the field. I mean, 42% from the field can just lose you the field goal percentage category. And we know Russ with turnovers, so we don't even need to go there. But yeah, points league, I'm fine keeping Russell Westbrook, just hoping that he can possibly get us a good amount of games. Category league, on the other hand, I'm trying to just completely get him off my roster. Okay, so now let's go over to Charlotte real quick, where a couple things are going on. So yes, Gordon Hayward is currently injured. Yes, that's going to be something that we have to monitor. But more importantly, what we need to be talking about is we need to be talking about LaMelo Ball and how he just continues to emerge as one of the most fun players to watch in the entire NBA. And not only is he already fun, but I mean, he is taking a step up to being an immediate impact for the Charlotte Hornets and an immediate impact in fantasy basketball, where now he is averaging 35 minutes over the past 5 games. And I think that this is going to stay here. I mean, I think we are going to see LaMelo 35, 36, 37 minutes a game now that Gordon Hayward can miss some time. And with LaMelo, more importantly, what we are seeing is we are seeing him stuff the stat sheet in multiple categories. 17 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, and 5.5 assists over the past 5. But something that is absolutely ridiculous, and yes, it's going to regress. I'm not saying this is going to be the case for the rest of the year. But LaMelo Ball, 2.8 steals per game over the past 5. And now this is what I was talking about a month ago whenever we were discussing whether or not you should be trading for LaMelo Ball. And I was talking about those defensive statistics saying, yeah, I know LaMelo Ball has had a very bad net rating in terms of his defensive impact on the court year 1. But for fantasy, it doesn't really matter. Because obviously we're not taking into account net ratings. We're not taking into account the actual defense by Charlotte whenever LaMelo's on the floor. All that really matters is his steals and blocks. And LaMelo is going out there and he's being aggressive. He is pushing himself, trying to jump lanes and cut passes off. And while, yes, sometimes that will make him look stupid where his guy is just left completely open, the defense is forced to collapse and the offense ends up with a free shot. A lot of the times, I don't want to say a lot of times, but a good amount of the times, LaMelo Ball comes away with the ball where he then transitions over in a fast break and then they're able to either finish it off with a LaMelo Ball score or a LaMelo Ball assist. So that kind of stacks together with a great swing of events where LaMelo is stacking fantasy points on fantasy points. And there's no reason to expect this to slow down anytime soon. Now, yes, the steals numbers are going to come down just because that's how math works. But still, I mean, the points are there, the assists are there, the rebounds are there. Really, everything is there. All right, so now our next player that we need to talk about, I just am going to have to say I was wrong. I give in. Please, 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 I give in. Do not be blaming me for this anymore. Zion Williamson has completely changed his game. Zion Williamson should have point guard eligibility if we were talking about fantasy formats. I mean, it's ridiculous how he has completely changed in New Orleans throughout the course of this season. Where Zion right now is operating way more as that point guard where he's initiating the offense. He's pretty much just crashing the basket every single time, driving down the lane, regardless of if it's off a screen or not. Zion just has the size, the quickness to go along with that he has been dominant. We all know about the elite field goal percentage. I do not need to talk about that. And yes, I have been critical that Zion is not necessarily a player that's going to come away with a decent amount of rebounds. But because Zion has transitioned over to being a little bit more of a point guard, Now the assists are up. Now he's averaging over 4 assists a game. So yeah, I mean, even if he does come down to 7 rebounds a game, as a big man, that's not ideal. But if you're coming away with the 4 assists at the same time, that's about equivalent of another big man who would average 11 rebounds and 1 assist. And when Zion's also closing in on 30 points a game over the past 5, I just have to take the L here. I am sorry for advising y'all to stay away from Zion in fantasy drafts this past year. I give in. I throw in the towel. Zion looks like he could be a league winner. Okay, so now our next player, I don't have an explanation for what's going on. I don't know if this is just a hot stretch and we don't need to take too much away from it. But Ben Simmons has looked like he's taken his overall offensive role to a little bit of a different path over the past 5 games. Where, yes, I mean, he is not necessarily taking a ton more shots. He is taking a few more. But more importantly, the field goal percentage has skyrocketed, leading for Ben Simmons to almost double his points per game from his season-long numbers through his past 5, where previously his season-long numbers were him averaging about 14 points per game. We know Ben Simmons is more so just going to be scoring those points in transition. We know Ben Simmons is more so just going to be racking up assists with his role in this offense and kind of feeding it through Embiid. But over the past 5 games, Ben Simmons has came out and he has averaged 25 points a game, and he's bumped his field goal percentage up from his season-long 56% up to 65% over the past 5. So mainly, I don't know what's going on here. I have no idea what explanation I should give. I'm just bringing this up so I can ask y'all. Let me know in the comment section below if you're watching this as a premiere right now and I'm hanging out with you. Let me know if you have a feel on what's going on in Philadelphia. I've not had a chance to watch a second of any of the past 5 games for the 76ers, so I don't know. Please, if you do, fill me in. All right, so now our last thing that we need to talk about is quite possibly one of the most disappointing things in the NBA this season. And that's the fact that Kimball Walker is #bad at basketball. Kimball Walker right now is shooting 37% from the field in 2021. And yes, I know people are going to come out and say, Mason, that's not a large enough sample. Mason, Kimball Walker missed a significant amount of time. And while, yeah, I mean, Walker missed a good amount of time, at the same time, Kimba's played 15 games. At what point do we look at Kimba and go, oh my gosh, I mean, you are just tanking the Boston Celtics overall offense right now. What are you doing? Get him off the court. Let's see more usage from Jaylen Brown. I don't know what the explanation here is with Kimball Walker. He's still making his 3-pointers where he's averaging close to 3 3-point shots made a game. But Kimball Walker is someone that if you can sell him based on name value, that may be something we're looking to do. All right, now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton, and I'll see y'all, hopefully, during the premiere tomorrow.